Welcome to the Salty Investors episode number 47. It is Friday, September the 8th, I think. Yep. Is that right? What's going on, Tim?
Summer's here, mate. Can you feel it? You got a shirt on this week.
I got a t-shirt. It's all happening. Yep. It's warm. You can feel it coming, can't you?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. What's the salt for this week?
I see some people on social media, they've built some tags and they've been putting them in Woolworths and Coles, saying, you can't afford bread, even though you deserve it, and you're eating sausage when you should be eating steak, and the CEO makes $20,000 a day, and you don't, and they make $1 billion in profit a year.
Yep.
So there's no problem looking sideways at people stealing. So I'm just thinking, really, if you really think this, why don't you start your own supermarket? If you really think this is a great business and they're really ripping off people, start your own supermarket, you idiots. But no. We know that this is a terrible business. It's so cutthroat, and you've got stuff that goes out of date. You've got huge staff. It's a terrible business to be in, but it's a social good. And they make hardly anything, and then you get these people think it's all right to steal and, throw crap on, So what do you think about it?
Well, look at their gross margins. I mean, it's all about volume with supermarkets, isn't it? It's a huge amount of volume. Like you say, razor thin margins. And it only really works at scale. I don't know if you know. I mean, I know quite a few people who've just in the last few years have bought and sold IGA supermarkets. They run one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And some of them are in really good locations, but others aren't. And I think that'd be a really tough business to run. On a small scale, it only works on a big scale. But I'm seeing this sort of complaint everywhere. I saw someone the other day on Twitter saying they paid $20 for a bag of grapes or something. It's like, well, look, this is when your father used to say to you, I used to go to the movies and buy a Coke and popcorn for sixpence. Like, yeah, inflation happens. The value of your dollar is not worth what it used to be. Stuff is more expensive. It's not going back down. That's what happens, and you have to adjust. I mean, look, I'm not unsympathetic. We've seen the biggest decline in real wages and real disposable income in more than 30 years. Most people working today, a good chunk of them have never experienced this before. You have to go back to the early 90s recession, really. And so, I understand the sentiment. But, I mean, things like Alan Joyce doesn't help. Here's a guy making off with tens of millions of dollars. I think he sold his shares a couple of months back when the price was high. He got $16 million, well done. But, and he's arguably left Qantas in a worse place in terms of its reputation. So, people see that. And I think this is just the usual populist stuff. And I'm sad to say, but it's probably going to get worse, I think, before sentiment gets better.
Yeah, I just wish they wouldn't throw so much, sand and salt at the wrong direction. They should be focus their energy at, why did we get into this situation? Not like at the shopkeepers at the end of the day. I don't think they don't want to lift their prices if they can avoid it. They're forced to do all this stuff. So, just wish people could look through it a little bit better and, instead of just looking on the surface, it's Coles and Woolworths that are causing the prices to go up. I think that's a bit
but it's
naive.
I go back and forth. Like, there's price gouging's going on. I mean, there are companies that are raising their prices that, things I know I buy for my business are up 25-30%. Inflation's, you can't justify that. But, you are a consumer. You have a choice. You don't have to buy, the old, big retail stores killed the mum and pop shop. It was like, well, if everyone kept shopping at the mum and pop shop, it wouldn't be dead, would it? You've decided to go there. Anyway, I suppose we should move off of that one. Get to the macro stuff. So this is from the Melbourne Institute. This is not the official inflation number, but the Melbourne Institute is saying, look out, might be turning around. the old inflation. Guess what? Not going to go down in a straight line. Who would have thought? Oh, we did. We've been telling you that for months. So yeah, that's it's pretty. It caused a few problems for the RBA, I would say.
Yeah.
Moving on, discretionary, non-discretionary spending. The discretionary is the light blue. It's actually down for the last 1, 2, 3, and it's significantly so in July. So it's only getting worse. Not better. And that's pretty much what you would think. I mean, we've had this period of rising interest rates, real disposable income's falling, rents are going through the roof, mortgage costs are going through the roof. I mean, this is all pretty predictable stuff, isn't it? So no surprises.
And fuel's still high. It's still $2 a litre, wherever it is. So I can't see where it's got to go somewhere. Like you're not going to be buying on discretionary when you've got to put fuel in the tank. So
this was from Leif Van Onselen over at Macro Business, pointing out the latest GDP numbers. I mean, look, we grew 2% year over year, but GDP per capita, which matters a bit more, that's 2 back-to-back quarters of declining GDP per capita. And what are we doing? We're just feeding in another 400,000 people into the country, and student visas, and I mean, this is not going to get better in the short term at all.
But what happens if we do have a downturn still with all this immigration? Immigrants still want to come here. They go, we can't get jobs. We can't, like it's really going to turn in a big way if it happens all at once. But hopefully it doesn't.
Well, they might leave as quickly as they came if there's no jobs. Because from what I understand, this new deal with India makes it very easy for, say, an Indian student to come over here and say they're going to do a course. Before the course actually starts, they pull out, they don't pay any money, and they just go get a job, which is way better for them. Okay. Go get a job in Australia, send the money back home. It's a big, easy loophole for people who just want to come over here and work. Australian retail trade, where year ended in quarterly, so. Yeah, not looking great. This has been going on for, what's that now, 3 quarters negative. Just the same old stuff from...
But occasionally we do get, you look back here and we do get occasional quarter there.
Yeah.
It does have...
Yeah. I mean, last time you had 3 quarters in a row, I think it was here. That is the financial crisis there, those 3. And otherwise, you got to go back. That's 1990. But we had a lot more inflation then, because these aren't inflation adjusted.
But none of your retail stocks are down.
Some of them are flat.
Okay.
Yeah, like I see dusk after it. It's sort of receded again. I think again they had a resurgence and then come back a bit. They haven't got back to those lows that they got back to earlier in the year, though. Okay. But that could change because you've had your results, and now October, November's your AGM season. See what they're saying, because how things have been trading. This is US data. This is just showing delinquencies. Did you send me this one? I think you might have sent me.
Yeah, I sent you this one. Not like last week. So yeah. I just saw that curve and like, wow, like no one in 08 was, no alarm bells in the early part of it,
Yeah.
And you started to see it uptick, and we're starting to see it again. And I thought, wow, this really, gives me shivers thinking about it. Like you think, how much is on credit card debt is insane. Like it is, and that's really high interest, and that really sucks out money in the economy. Like when you got 17, 18, 20% credit card debt, wow, and the autos are terrible as well. That is just...
Yeah, well,
got all these people with multiple cars. Yeah,
that wasn't as bad. I mean, that wasn't that bad in the financial crisis. The auto. I mean, look, the autos are almost back to where they were in the financial crisis, right? That's the one that's the closest. It was call that 4.3 or so, and it's already at 3.7, say. But I mean that they're all higher than they were at any time in the last 20 years, except for the financial crisis.
Yep. And And just the cars that people have purchased in that time as well. Like, you got this huge gas guzzler, that's 80 grand or whatever. You're paying off that at some horrendous rate.
Yeah.
The economy slows down a bit. You don't feel like filling that thing up with, $200 worth of fuel. So,
Yeah.
and you got all this, what do you do with it? Like, it just gets repossessed, and then that depresses the secondary market, and, and then you got why is no one buying cars?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't want to be a Tesla shareholder, that's for sure. So, I don't know how they're going to do, but we'll have to wait and see.
They've been cutting prices. Yeah.
That's the solution. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what people that have argued that Tesla's like a tech company or something is like, no, look, they make cars. It's capital intensive. The margins aren't that good, and if they keep cutting prices, they're going to end up making the same as Toyota does or anybody else. They're not some special magic car company, magic tech company. Anyway. All right, so we're to the stock of the week. You've been to China again, Tim.
Just to aggravate you even more, but I know we haven't. I just like it because we're different on this, everyone still hates China, including you, which is totally understandable. Like, I've been burnt here as well. But it definitely reminds me of Japan in the 70s and 80s, where they moved out of producing junk into more high-end items. This company, it's called Mindray. And basically, they've been doing it for 5+ years. And they're building quality products for, high-end customers in hospitals. Their focus is on youth anesthesia, integrated systems. So that's like they build terminals, not just terminals, but they integrate it into the software and client management and all that sort of stuff. But they have great ultrasound systems as well. And they're in our public hospitals in Cairns. So... that just shows that they've already infiltrated, part of the Western, medical system. And they're doing it in the US and everywhere. So if you look at 10 years, I can still see them eating US and the Japanese type systems.
Yep.
Especially in Asia and the undeveloped nations. Even countries like the UK, where medical expenses are under huge strain. Yep. I can see them, taking a lower ticket item that's still high quality. And they're reliably, as you see on the list here, in the top 3 brands in the world in their classes. So I don't think they're that bad. Let's look at the fundamentals. We're supposed to be fundamental investors.
Yep.
The shares are expanding. They're stable. Employees are growing with revenue. Price to free cash flow is 25, and it's never been this low. And you compare that to Edwards Life Sciences, which we both love, and that's 50 at the moment. So it's like half price. Return on invested capital and margins are extremely high and consistently high. Like, they've been good for years. The problem is it's got a high payout ratio, but it's got no debt. Revenue and EPS are like best in class. Edwards Life Sciences has 11 and 15 respectively. So it's nearly double Edwards. I'm not trying to compare the two, okay? I'm just trying to give you some baseline numbers so you can sort of look at them. We flip over to the balance sheet. We can sort of see, they just got mountains of cash, and free cash flow is just piling in, no debt. So the bull cases, and that they're starting to acquire, little companies. Yep. And I've started to look at acquisitions a bit differently. The small acquisitions, I don't think hurt anybody. And I think if they're accretive, which most of them are, it's just the big acquisitions I see as people trying to oversell them too much. And so this company's doing little $100 million acquisitions, and they're doing fine. They've got a huge amount of growth, especially in developed markets. Proven quality, double the growth of the other huge quality ones they like. Yep. It's sort of like equivalent growth to IDEX.
Yep.
It's just not clear on the future. That's all. Like, they're nowhere near as good as IDEX or Edwards Life Sciences. So that's a bit delusional. The bear case, China is uninvestable. The Japanese and US products will continue to dominate, which they still do.
Yep.
I just see that deteriorating a little bit. And will they be able to keep up the growth, which I don't think is likely. And no one cares about red chip equities anymore.
Right.
So putting all that together, I say commies can be still commies, but at the current price to free cash flow 25, which is really low, add another 30% discount if you want to be greedy. Gets you down to a price to free cash flow of 18. Puts about $180. I think you'd be hard to say, if you're a fundamental investor, you know, at a price to free cash flow of 18, this isn't a steal. I know that I know I'm trying to antagonize you a little bit here, but
no, well, you're not, because I think you're doing a good job of selling it. I mean, I like it. Again, yeah, I'm just greedy. I want the China implosion story to get louder and louder, and just take everything down. Yeah, yeah. I'd like to see that price to cash flow ratio under 20, and
yeah,
I wouldn't have a problem buying it.
Yeah, and so you're looking at something here that clearly is winning. Like, you're not buying some junk in China and hoping that it's going to turn around and turn into something brilliant. These guys obviously out to eat the world.
Yep.
And it just reminds me of Japan. Like, you know, in the 50s and 60s, everyone, oh, look, they just produce all the junk, and, you know, who'd want to... And then they just started to improve and improve. I know I might be a bit racist because I think in the Chinese are like Japanese. I know there's a little bit of racism, but, you know, I still see those characteristics flow over, and this is the sort of company that reminds me of it. You know, like the early Japanese companies, you know, that really got out there and started to, you know, kick goals, and they started to dominate. And I can't see them slowing down, but I would love a discount. You know,
Yeah.
We get a bit of a slowdown here. This might be one of the ones that I pull out and go, wow, this is going to be a 10-bagger for me. We have an implosion in the West. The East is going to go down even harder.
Yeah.
So do you pick something at super deep value, but that is super high quality? Remember, government hospitals, recessions. Remember all that? They still keep spending. We still need healthcare. They still fight through all this stuff. So it's got a very nice story to come out of it. Just everybody hates it. Just nobody wants to hear this. Nobody. So that's why, if you understand it a little bit and you get an opportunity, you know, you should be game. So yeah, just thought I'd bring it to everybody, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I like this one. As usual, just greedy on price, as you should be. As you should be.
Yes.
Not too greedy, but yeah, tranche in, people. Tranche in. No, I like it. Yeah, just, you know, come on the China implosion story. Bring it on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for this week. Tim has brought the goods again. We will see you next time.